Inmate deaths, damning reports, an escape, mistaken releases, indicted jailers, drones dropping drugs. The Cuyahoga County Jail has been the subject of one scandal after another over the last year and a half.
Yeah, and now as we approach 1 year since the release of the damning U.S. Marshals report on conditions inside the jail, 5 on Your Side investigator Scott Knoll takes a look at what led to this crisis in corrections.
Long before we saw images like this, county leaders painted a much different picture of what was happening inside Cuyahoga County Jail.
We've got some pretty impressive things going on.
And they were impressive things Director of Corrections Ken Mills couldn't wait to share. His job, not only run the jail, but add more beds and recruit the suburbs to send their inmates to a regional jail downtown for a price.
I think it's a very safe projection to say, $3.5 to $5.5 million a year.
What Mills didn't mention was the facility he wanted to expand was already full. Cuyahoga County already averaged more than 2,200 inmates, 445 above its capacity. And that spring, the cracks were about to show.
There was a quote-unquote mission-critical request on nurses.
1 month later, Mills back in front of County Council, this time addressing concerns about a shortage of nurses in the jail.
We've been somewhat understaffed at the main jail for how long?
I don't know about the staffing. Yeah, it's been a while. They've been understaffed.
Okay, and we're just looking into that.
Yes, sir.
But Metro Health, which provides medical services to inmates, said the problem was well known and that Mills was to blame.
We were told in writing by Director Mills that the county would not be hiring nurses.
Mills denied it, but Gary Brack, a jail nursing supervisor, called Mills an obstruction.
It's almost a form of like passive-aggressive behavior. What the director tells us is not kind of what pans out.
Days later, Brack was removed from his job in the jail, then fired, as council questioned if cost concerns were trumping inmate care.
It is really a life and death situation that, if not handled properly, could lead to very big trouble.
And that trouble began weeks later. June 10th, Theodore Carter becomes the first inmate to die, his death from complications from cancer. Then another inmate death, Esteban Parra, and another, Larry Johnson. August 28th, inmate Joseph Arquillo found dying inside the jail after investigators say a corrections officer failed to get Arquillo medical help. Arquillo died at the hospital. The first of 3 inmate deaths that week. A 7th inmate died in October. The next day, Cleveland Municipal Court Judge Michael Nelson told News 5 he was so concerned about the deaths, he would no longer send low-level offenders to jail while they await trial.
When people are locked up awaiting trial or whatever, their fate should not be death in the jail.
The next week, the U.S. Marshal's Office confirmed the county asked for a review team to come in and assess conditions inside the jail. As the Marshals prepared their findings, Cuyahoga County Executive Armin Budish easily won re-election to a second 4-year term. That same week, presiding Judge John Russo sends a letter to Budish, writing, "The county's indifference to the dangers created by failing to meet the needs of a very fragile and volatile prison population must end." The letter ends with this: "We hope the county is not putting a price on the safety of its citizens." November 14th, Ken Mills resigns as Director of Regional Corrections. But the biggest bombshell was about to explode.
They told me this was one of the worst places they've ever seen.
Inhumane. That's how the U.S. Marshals Review Team described conditions inside the jail and found the treatment of inmates violated constitutional rights, including allegations officers used force as punishment against inmates. Chantel Glass filed a lawsuit against the county. She says she was hit, then pepper sprayed after jailers strapped her into a restraint chair.
I sat in that chair that day and prayed over and over again that I wouldn't die.
The Marshals report exposed practices like red zoning, where inmates were locked down for more than 27 hours at a time because of a shortage of jailers. It detailed troubling tactics of the Special Response Team. Inspectors accused the team of aggressive behavior toward inmates. The findings so bad, the U.S. Marshal ordered his inmates out of the downtown jail.
It almost needs to be gutted at this point and start from the bottom up.
As the county promised changes inside the jail, answers to how things got so bad seemed hard to come by.
There's the tracks, throw the bodies.
Well, I do respect that. I'm focused on it's broke, I want to fix it.
fixes the community demanded.
I almost died in that county.
For one inmate, those changes didn't come soon enough. On December 30th, Brandon Keekish became the 8th Cuyahoga County inmate to die in 2018. Emails obtained by 5 on Your Side investigators reveal Keekish never received a required medical screening when booked, something Metro Health administrators stressed for weeks was needed in the jail. The next day, the change is made. By then, Keekish was in the hospital where he died. His death ruled a suicide. The next night, his name read by protesters outside Budish's gated neighborhood.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Armand Budish has got to go!
After the Marshals report, former inmates now felt they had a voice and spoke exclusively to 5 on Your Side investigators.
I just got punished. I mean, they put me on probation. Why? There shouldn't be no punishment of taking my ability to walk away from me.
Glenn Mayer told us he needed a wheelchair to get around after he was roughed up by a jailer. Mayer says his Tourette's syndrome caused him to twitch as a nurse gave him medicine, triggering what he called a beating from a guard.
I had bruises on my neck. If you're restraining somebody, you're not going to hurt them in the process.
In an attempt to improve medical care in early January, the county announced Metro Health would take over all health care inside the jail. But staffing concerns of another kind remained. Grievances from corrections officers warned of rising tensions because of red zoning. One officer even noted the atmosphere inside the jail met the warning signs for a riot. The next day, Ken Mills was indicted. He's charged with lying to county council and the feds about his role in blocking the hiring of nurses. Mills has pleaded not guilty. In February, County Council approved spending $3.5 million to hire 60 more jailers, hoping to stop incidents like this attack on a nurse.
They carried out 5 boxes and 2 computer hard drives.
A Valentine's Day surprise. State and federal investigators raided Armand Budish's office, looking for files pertaining to that May County Council meeting, to Gary Brack, as well as plans to regionalize the county jail, consolidate medical screenings for inmates, and files related to investigations of deaths or assaults in the jail. Budish called it a political stunt.
I want to assure the people of Cuyahoga County that I have done nothing wrong.
A new jail director, same problems. State inspectors repeatedly found the jail not up to standards. In response, the governor ordered monthly inspections. Through it all, Budish remained optimistic.
We've made progress, and we're working every day to make further improvements.
But even as the executive was proclaiming progress during his State of the County address, a grand jury was issuing indictments. So far, 11 past and current jail employees have been indicted for various crimes, including former jailer Stephen Thomas, accused of working with the Heartless Felon Street Gang, dealing drugs to inmates while on the job.
Your Honor, he's got associates in the gang community who would be very unhappy with him if he chose to cooperate.
Cooperation became a theme of 2019. It took a council subpoena to get outgoing Sheriff Cliff Pinkney to cooperate and talk about problems inside the jail. Pinkney told council he was cut out of many key jail decisions.
There was a request for additional nurses that I approved, and then it was ultimately denied by the previous jail director.
Meanwhile, former warden Eric Ivey agreed to cooperate with state investigators, part of a plea deal that saw Ivey agree to resign and plead guilty to ordering a jailer to turn off his body camera during Arquillo's death and then lying about it to investigators. As part of the deal, Ivey also agreed to turn state's witness and testify for the prosecution in their ongoing county corruption investigation. We've also put together a complete timeline of our reporting on this crisis in corrections. It's more than 70 stories in all, detailing everything from the deaths to indictments, lawsuits to changes in leadership. You can find it all on the News 5 app and online at news5cleveland.com. Reporting live, I'm 5 on Your Side investigator Scott Knoll.